Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance. And today we are stepping into something that many players still haven't fully understood yet. Because Phobos is no longer just a niche control hero. He is becoming one of the most oppressive and intelligent target controllers in the entire game, and if you combine his rework with these new relics, what you get is not just more control, but a completely different level of battlefield dominance. Because Phobos was always dangerous in one very specific way. He targets intelligence. He finds the most important mage, the most impactful backline threat, and he shuts it down. But now, with the way his skills evolve through relics, that control becomes layered, repeated, and much harder to play around, and this is where things start getting really interesting. His paralysis is no longer just a single moment of control. It becomes periodic. It becomes chained. It becomes something that can interrupt ultimates at the exact moment they matter most, and that changes fights completely, because we are not just stopping heroes. We are stopping timing. And in this game, timing is everything. And this is exactly why today we are not just talking about Phobos as a hero. We are talking about the teams that allow him to reach that full potential, because Phobos alone is strong. But Phobos inside the right composition becomes a nightmare. So let's go straight into it. Team number 1. And this one is pure control, pure disruption, pure chaos. Electra, Dante, Phobos, Tempus, and Mew. This is not a team that plays fair. This is a team that removes your ability to play. You start with Dante, who already brings dodge pressure and forces missed attacks, slowing down the enemy's ability to deal consistent damage, and then you add Electra into the mix, who amplifies control and introduces additional disruption layers, making it even harder for the enemy to stabilize the fight. Now bring in Mew. And this is where things escalate, because blindness starts stacking on top of dodge, meaning enemies are not just missing occasionally. They are constantly failing to land hits, and when that happens, the entire rhythm of the fight breaks. And right in the middle of all this chaos sits Phobos. Targeting intelligence heroes, locking them down, applying paralysis, interrupting key ultimates, and now with periodic effects, repeating that control at critical moments, especially when enemies are about to release their most important abilities. And then you add Tempus. And this is where the team becomes suffocating. Because Tempus doesn't just control. He slows the fight, applies pressure over time, and now with relic interactions, introduces unavoidable damage and additional debuffs, creating a battlefield where enemies are constantly under pressure, constantly weakened, and constantly unable to act freely. So what you have here is a layered control system. Dodge, blindness, paralysis, time control, periodic damage. Everything stacking together to create one simple outcome. The enemy does not play. And this is where Phobos shines the most. Because in a chaotic environment where enemies cannot act consistently, his precision targeting becomes even more impactful, shutting down the few threats that manage to survive the disruption. Now we move to team number 2. And this one is a very interesting evolution of a known interaction. Dante, Iris, Somna, Phobos, and Octavia. And yes, I know what many of you are thinking. Octavia with Iris. But this is exactly where understanding the game at a deeper level matters. Because while Octavia may no longer directly counter Iris the way she used to, everything else she brings is still there. Energy gain, buffs, survivability through mechanics, tempo acceleration. And when you look at this team as a whole, you start to see why she still fits. You begin with Dante again, providing dodge pressure and forcing inconsistency in enemy damage, and then Iris enters the field as a damage over time powerhouse, applying constant pressure that cannot be dodged, cannot be reflected, and continues ticking regardless of defensive mechanics. Then Somna adds another layer. Control, disruption, and synergy with magic-based interactions, increasing the overall pressure and making it harder for enemies to stabilize. And once again, Phobos becomes the key controller. Because while Iris is applying constant damage, Phobos is deciding who gets to act. He locks down the most dangerous intelligence targets, interrupts ultimates, and with periodic paralysis, ensures that even if the enemy survives the initial control, they are not safe. And then Octavia, quietly amplifying everything. Increasing energy flow, supporting the team's tempo, and allowing abilities to cycle faster, which means more control, more damage, more pressure. So this is not a team about direct counters anymore. This is a team about synergy. About stacking mechanics that together create overwhelming pressure. And in that environment, Phobos becomes even more dangerous, because his control doesn't need to carry the fight. It just needs to land at the right moment. And the rest of the team does the work. Now we move into team number 3. And this one brings everything together in a very clean and aggressive way. Electra, Dante, Tempus, Iris, and Phobos. This is a hybrid of control and damage that hits extremely hard. Dante once again sets the foundation with dodge and pressure, making enemy attacks unreliable, while Electra introduces disruption and control amplification, making it harder for enemies to respond. Tempus slows the entire battlefield, applying pressure over time, debuffing enemies, and creating a zone where fights become increasingly difficult for the opponent. Then Iris steps in as the main damage engine, applying unavoidable damage over time that continues ticking regardless of what the enemy tries to do. And once again, Phobos is the execution control. Because in a team like this, where pressure is constant and damage is guaranteed, the only way for the enemy to survive is through key ultimates. And that is exactly what Phobos removes. He finds the intelligence target. He locks it. He interrupts it. And now with periodic paralysis, he doesn't just do it once. He threatens to do it again. And again. And again. And that is what makes him insane right now. Because control is no longer a single event. It is a repeated threat. A constant danger. A pressure point that the enemy cannot ignore. So when you step back and look at all three teams, one thing becomes very clear. Phobos is no longer just a counter hero. He is a core control piece. A battlefield controller. A hero that doesn't just react, but dictates how the fight is played. And this is especially true against intelligence-heavy teams, where his targeting becomes even more impactful, removing the most important threats before they can even act. So if you've been sleeping on Phobos, now is the time to wake up. Because with his rework, and with these relics, he is not just viable. He is dangerous. And potentially meta-defining. So Guardians, now we want to hear from you. Have you tested these teams? Have you felt the difference? Do you think Phobos is becoming one of the strongest control heroes in the game? Let us know in the comments. And as always, we will continue testing, refining, and bringing you the best strategies. Stay tuned, stay sharp. And as always, salute and friendship.